Hey guys, Natalie here. I am at Snoqualmie Pass, and the dandelions are completely off the charts up here, so I wanted to get a chance to teach you how to dig up roots with a digging fork. But I also wanted to point out, so here we have dandelion, which is pretty easy to identify from its lookalikes because it's going to have one stem for one flower. There's no branching, and those stems are always hollow as well. And these particular stems are super, super thick, so you can actually use them as a straw if you wanted. And you're going to see when you break dandelion stems that there's going to be some white latex in there. If you have a latex allergy, don't freak out. Most people, I've never heard of a reaction to plant latex for people. So those are dandelion stems, and you can actually even use the inside of the dandelion stem on warts like this. You have to do it pretty often and pretty consistently. It's not as strong as like pharmaceutical would be, but you rub those on your warts every day and it actually can get rid of it, theoretically. I've never had that work for me, but kind of a little dandelion lore. So we're gonna dig up this dandelion, but I also wanted to show you first, we happen to have right next door to us one of dandelion's main lookalikes. Dandelion has a lot of lookalikes. This particular one is hairy cat's ear. And if you can see, it's got hair on the leaf, right? And let's look at a dandelion leaf. Dandelion leaves are similar shape, okay? But there's not really any hair on there. You might see some like super short hair on the stem, but when it comes to like the upper leaf surface, there's no hair. So this is hairy cat's ear. It's Hypocharis radicata, and this is Dandelion taraxacum officinale. They are both in the sunflower family. So this is going to have branched flower stems also. It's not flowering yet. Dandelion flowers first, typically. This is also edible though. So if you do make the mistake, it's not a huge deal. The root also has a really similar use. It's one of those things like you probably want to cook because it's kind of hairy, you know? So when I eat this, I like to chop it up really finely and stir fry it with other greens, you know, with like lemon and olive oil and salt, and it can be really tasty. But raw, it's not a showstopper, but it is actually can be less bitter than dandelion, which is kind of cool. So, kind of tasty. Let's actually compare. Yeah, definitely less bitter. Ooh, dandelion when it gets old too gets more bitter, which is why you want to harvest like in the spring. Usually before it flowers is when it's less bitter. But we're gonna dig the root of this up. I have chosen this particular plant because it's quite large. It's also growing in gravel. And it's gonna be fairly easy to get out of here because the gravel is pretty loose. So I'm gonna use my digging fork and I'm gonna go around the crown, and I'm just gonna gently loosen the soil as I go. And the reason we're using a digging fork and not a shovel is that shovels is just gonna go in and cut the root, and this will go around the root. And kind of loosen things up around it so we're not breaking the root. So it kind of gets more root than you would be able to otherwise. And digging forks are my favorite way to dig up roots for that reason. All right, so you kind of loosen it around, and then at some point you're gonna kind of have to take your hand, do a little digging. Oh, this is gonna be a big root, you guys. And at this point, you kind of have the choice of whether you just want to tug on it, or maybe you want to, I'm going to get down in here a little bit more, see if we can get a little bit more of the root. Yeah, perfect. Oh my gosh, guys. That's a good one. You can always tell when a root's going to be big because the leaf crown is going to be really thick, right? Which is this area around it. So this is also many plants together. You can kind of see them separating. And so you have the choice on, you can wash this in like a nearby stream if you brought your brush out into the field, but you can also take the whole thing home and power wash it with your sprayer and your hose, put it on your driveway or in your grass and spray it really hard, and then do a pass with the brush. And dandelion root is a little bit different. The leaves are super diuretic, right? They're more of a kidney medicine. And the roots are more often used for the liver stuff. They're also diuretic, but not as diuretic. And they really clear out the liver. So I often use it for PMS, moodiness, but you can also put it in like urinary tract formulas because it also kind of cleans out the bladder and the kidneys a little bit. So dandelion is mainly a detoxification herb. It really like is a clearer, purger kind of thing. So you do want to be careful, like if you are really constipated, for example, you don't want to take dandelion because it'll release toxins that you can't necessarily get out of your body. So definitely be aware, and it can be a little draining. So, you know, if you're somebody who's really dry, I wouldn't recommend consuming too much dandelion. But these roots, you can also roast them, which you just kind of chop them up and put them in the oven at 300 degrees until they're toasty as you want. It's a pretty easy thing. There's directions all over the internet. I can include a link to one in the description. And that's all I have for you today, guys. Dandelion, biggest plant I've ever seen.